Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Token Games Podcast. I'm your host and sometimes referee, Zach Sat Pearson, and today I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend that hasn't been seen in like 120 days,
Go, baby.
Xeno 120. All right, so this is going to be a very light situation since there's only two of us this time. So let me get into them topics. Topic 1. The entire Canadian division of the company responsible for the visual effects for the upcoming CG live-action hybrid Sonic movie has been shut down. What do you think could have caused this movie production animation studio to shut down? Was it the Sonic movie or something else? Keep in mind, I just want to point out it's the Canadian division, not the whole entire company. What cartoons could easily transition into a video game or a video game series and why? Topic 3. Bro, is Star Fox dead? After the trash fire, yes, I said trash fire, and crossover over Star Fox, courtesy of Star Fox Zero, and of course the Electronic Arts based Starlink game, which wasn't a trash fire by the way, the franchise that has had more remakes than sequels and long hiatus and lack of interest from Nintendo has yet to have anything else happen since the dark time of Star Fox Zero. Do you think it's been abandoned? Topic 4. James Gunn and Suda51, creator of No More Heroes, are friends, and James almost went into game direction himself some years ago. Are there any directors you think can or should direct a video game? HD versus UHD. With the new generation coming up, but the resolution to frames per second. I really wish they didn't have the same acronym, you know. But the resolution to frames per second being heavily off balance, do you think we can and should look forward to 4K gaming, or maybe wait for a future console since 4K often barely handles 30 FPS consistently? All right, Zeno, go right ahead.
Oh, all right. So anyway, right. So about the topic 1, the entire Canadian division. I actually remember sharing this on Facebook, and so I already pulled up the article. So it says when CBC asked the company why they had about the closure essentially, and they were saying increasing external market pressures in Vancouver as a factor, and said that the decision has not been taken lightly. So, then I didn't know what that meant. So then I looked it up. Increasing market pressure. And there are political, regulatory environment, the economic, competitive, technological, and then social and culture. Like, those are 5 factors. Well, that I found, as I looked it up, that could possibly been the issue with them having to close down. So
which one of those do you think caused
honestly, I think that if anything, maybe they're just gonna close down that specific location and then allocate the resources to another location that has more, I guess, what do you call it? A better output as far as like the, the media they're putting out, the money they're getting in,
content production.
So, yeah.
Content production.
Well, yeah, production. Yeah, exactly. That's what I meant. And I just think, just side note, that Sonic shouldn't have been made the way he was the first time. So them having to redo him wasn't enough. Look. People are like, oh, we should thank them for redoing it, blah blah blah. I'm like, or hear me out. Made him right the first time. It's all this material.
My favorite part out of all of that bullshit was the fact that the damn dumbass producers And they're dumbasses. And I'm not saying that because they didn't know this shit, people weren't going to see it. It was because they didn't even understand what the fuck a hedgehog was. They thought he had fur. They thought hedgehogs had fur. You couldn't do bare minimum research? I know I said this exact same rant before, but I'm going to stop right now.
Look, all I'm saying is Google Sonic the Hedgehog. That's it. You didn't need to. It wasn't even a hard task. But yeah, I think they're just gonna allocate it to a different probably another facility or company, or not company, but like
region.
So okay, so this is gonna be like out left field, but as far as topic 2 goes, cartoon, being turned to a video game, I personally think that it's an anime called Noragami. I think that could be turned into a video game. Why? All right, so the whole aspect of it is that they have these gods, and they go collect souls that haven't passed on and turn them into weapons. I mean, they have a human form, but like they're used as like weapons and shit, right? The main character has his background is kind of like all over the place, kind of sort of, where it's evil, but then like you don't, when you first meet him, you think like he's like this goofy low level god. You don't think much of him, but then later on you find out he's actually a lot more. It's a lot more to him. Of course, I mean, that's how characters work. But anyway, right? He gets like he's had other tools, but his main guy is a blonde kid, and I just think that they can make that easily into like a nice it could be a turn-based RPG or even an action. What do you call it? What is
action adventure?
Like Final Fantasy 15. Like it could be like
action adventure, action RPG.
Oh, okay, action. I was gonna say action adventure, but yeah, action RPG, action adventure. It could easily be that. And they can have like because they have other gods, like I'm saying. So they can have like multiple characters you can play as, like a story mode. They could put like a gauntlet survival mode type thing where you pick which god you want to play as, and then like you use theirs different little people. Like the one chick has a gun with like a big ass tiger and shit. Like you can like play with her, and like you press a button, her tiger fucking comes out and mauling people. Like you know what I'm saying? So I think they can easily make that into a video game. And let's see what else. Okay, I'm just gonna stay with just that one for now, because I think that was pretty good. That was a pretty good concept, right? That anime is good. It's one of my favorites, and I think they could easily make that into a game. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, it kind of sounds like some Bleach shit to me, but that's not an insult.
Well, yeah, I can see that, but I don't know, I think it can have a better system, because I feel like a lot of these anime games, like
suck.
When these games come out, they're just
suck. It's okay. I'll say it for you. A lot of them suck.
Oh, definitely. They're just doing a whole everybody quote unquote likes anime, so let's just make a bunch of games that's based off the main line of games. Yeah, pretty much. So it's like like the Black Clover game, the My Hero Academia game. Like a lot of those are just exactly the same.
Naruto Ninja Generations My Hero Academia 57 in stores now.
And Knuckles.
Oh man, I didn't see that coming.
That's just I don't know. I think yeah, like I say, that could be pretty cool. If they made it turn based, that'd be better. But
the fuck is it with you?
So topic 3 is Star Fox dead? Okay, so here's what I think. I think that okay. I don't think Star Fox is dead. Maybe not. Maybe. Okay, the games, they might end up taking a hiatus. I don't think they're gonna completely stop making them, but the reason why I say it's gonna take. They're not gonna completely stop making them. It's because Star Fox is in Smash Bros. And people play Smash Bros. And that's how they learn characters and different things of that nature. So people are going to, well, just in my opinion, from what I've seen, people are going to start to ask, like, man, every time they play with Fox or Falco or Wolf or somebody, they're going to be like, dang, didn't they used to have a game? Are they making any more games? So, like, I feel like him being a part of different medias, like different games and stuff like that, that is going to help keep his name alive to the point where I don't think they're going to just completely stop making them, like Star Fox games. Okay. Anyway, but don't do that. Captain Falcon, look, F-Zero was cool, but I don't know about all that. And Ice Climbers wasn't like one Ice Climbers game, and that was in like 16-bit.
Bro, you realize that the audience don't know what you're seeing, right?
Okay, look. I when people play Smash Bros, they look for games, right? So for example, Xenoblade Chronicles, right? Yeah. They're like, Xenoblade, what is that? Guess what they did? Re-released it. Then they had X. I mean, I don't remember if that came before or after, but X, and then Xenoblade 2. So Captain Falcon, like characters such as like Captain Falcon, he has a game, F-Zero, of course, right? But most people probably they used to seeing Captain Falcon, but they probably don't know F-Zero. But people have seen a newer Star Fox game, and so they're thinking about Star Fox. Or even like, for example, Metroid Prime. Everybody's like, oh, Samus. Oh, wait, Metroid Prime. So I feel like it's the games have closer release dates to the characters than like older characters. Even like Pit, they were like, oh, we're gonna remake, like give another Pit game, or another game. Then when they put him in Smash Bros, they re-released another game or released another game. So, but it was just them rewriting his character. Well, how I see it is them just rewriting his character. So of course he's gonna like get another game because like, oh, okay, that's like Kid Icarus. We can like actually make this and he can be better. And I think because of people playing with Pit as well, because I think a lot more people play with like Pit than they do like say Captain Falcon or Ice Climbers or something like that, or like Diddy Kong. Like they'll be like, oh, that's Pit. Yeah, that guy's really good. I'd rather play with him over like Yoshi. Like I feel like people who play with Yoshi is kind of like niches. But anyway, I don't think back to my original character that we were talking about, Star Fox. Go. I think that they're not gonna like just completely abandon. That's just my opinion. I think he's just gonna be either take hiatuses or just keep being featured in different games, like the Starlink game and stuff. All right. Want to say something?
Well, I'm predicting you might ask, who is James Gunn? And I was just gonna say, James Gunn, besides being a friend of Suda, is actually the director of Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, and he did a lot of writing on the Marvel Endgame and Infinity War script.
Oh, no, I actually already knew that. And also, he did Scooby-Doo, but okay. So topic 4, as far as who I would think could direct a video game. Okay, hear me out. You ever seen How to Train Your Dragon?
I don't like where this is going, but yes.
That is a good game. That is a good like series. Like the movies are actually really.
I didn't say the movies suck. I just said I'm scared.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Hear me out. He makes a video game, right? It don't got necessarily be about dragons, but yeah. The guy who made, I looked him up because I had to look him up. His name is Dean DeBlois. He's the co-director of the first film.
Yeah, spell that?
DEAN.
I'm in type spell.
Oh, my bad. Huh. DEBO. All right.
Dean
I only say
DeBlois.
that.
Okay. All right.
Okay. I only say that is because I just like. Because honestly, okay, I feel like How to Train Your Dragon is kind of underrated. Like the story, I think is kind of underrated. And I think if he got another creative avenue, that he'd be able to do like a solid job. I don't know if he'd be like Square Enix or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? But I think like you know what I'm saying. You give him a little bit, a little room. I think he can make something happen. Cause I'm just saying, How to Train Your Dragon. That story is pretty solid for what it's worth. And the main character, he like loses a leg, and I think that's kind of powerful, even for like a kids movie. Cause like losing legs and limbs and stuff. Cause you never want to see a like character that you root for like be like mutilated. You know what I'm saying?
So the main character in How to Train Your Dragon is disabled. I'm not making a joke. I haven't seen the movie. I have to ask, bruh.
Well, he definitely loses on his leg. He has a leg. It's just it's like a pirate leg.
Peg leg. Okay, so the main character is fucking disabled. Wow, they're really good at hiding that in marketing because if you'd asked me, I would have never even believed that Disney, if Disney made it, could even fathom the concept of making a movie where for children where they acknowledge disability. Because last I heard / seen, they still ain't actually done that. They have yet to make a movie where they actually acknowledge people can have disabilities, unless it's Toy Story. But they're toys, so it doesn't count. Yeah, like just off that picture alone, which I never saw in any commercials and stuff, I would have never known he didn't have, he was missing a leg or part of a leg.
Where's a boot over it?
And see, there you go.
Where's a boot?
But yeah, I ain't gonna knock your choice. I was just curious.
Oh no, like that was the only reason because I was I'm thinking. Once I seen the topic, I'm like, all right, what's a really like kind of underrated, in my opinion, like kind of underrated, but like really solid, and where like movie that pushes boundaries, but like nobody really talks about it. How to Train Your Dragon. I mean, like that movie kind of ruthless. I ain't gonna lie. But anyway, it's more than one, but I'm saying like that's the whole series is. But yeah, that's just my random director. So topic 5, right? So as far as topic 5 goes, high definition versus ultimate high definition, right? So from my understanding, a lot of times, when they have hardware such as for example, when they first made 4K, right? It was like barely running at 30 frames per second. But if you have a 4K, something that's applicable with 4K, it could run 1080 without a problem, right? Because it's already like, oh, we've been there, done
Pretty
that.
much.
So, as far as the whole, which one should we use, or could we? Like, I mean, I guess we should use the one that's more stable, being high definition, But since they are making 8K and then so forth and so forth, on and so forth, I can see them like the newer generation making it applicable for 8K, and then of course since 4K is less than 8, it being able to properly use 4K. I don't know if it's gonna be like at 60 frames per second, but it's gonna. I like to believe optimistically that in 8K you can be able to run 4K in at least 30 frames. That's just my opinion, especially because the newer consoles are gonna be like SSD like base.
Pretty much.
And yeah, like in a lot of the other hardware is just gonna just speed it up, CPU, different things of that nature. And I think it should be able to handle it. And I can't see the 4 as far as 8K to 4K frame rates being too much of a problem. Now, the people who like game developers, yeah, they're going to have a little bit of a problem because that's a whole different ballgame. But I think it's going to be more or less on the software and less the hardware. But that's just how I see it.
Okay, fair enough. Here's something I'm curious about now. This is like a throwaway thing, but it's always been in the back of my head. Bro, so HD is HD and UHD is 4K. What the fuck are we supposed to call 8K? And after 8K, what the fuck are they going to call that shit? Like they kind of bit the hand when they skipped to ultra off the bat. At least that's how I think.
No, actually, as random as that is, that's a shower thought. Because I was thinking about it too. I'm like, what's the difference between HD and UHD? That's 4K. Okay, so is it not the same thing as high definition? Is it just not high definition or what? I don't know. I think they just gonna start ultra HD, mega HD, ultra mega HD. They're gonna be like Digimon.
Ultra Instinct HD. Oh my god, how fucking scary would that be if it was Ultra Instinct HD?
Actually, that sounds like it's too good to be true. Does that mean it stopped working after a certain amount of time?
Oh man, that's fucked up. But I kind of would laugh my ass off if it was the case. All right, so it's my turn. Let me get started. Okay, so for topic 1, that wording on their reasoning comes off as very, very fucking shady to me. And I'm going to tell you why. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? So, look at it this way. They said pressure that was relating to their environment. Now, don't get me wrong. Every country has a dangerous neighborhood or area. This is a $1 million VFX animation studio. They ain't gonna put no shit up in a dangerous ass area. Fuck the bullshit. We know they're not. I think they didn't like the idea that they couldn't get tax breaks or they have to pay more for their fucking employees. And I think that the Sonic movie bullshit wasn't even a net loss for them. In fact, it might have been a net gain because they had to do the same work twice. The same work twice. I've seen it, but thanks for the link. So that means that they had to get paid and possibly have the movie studio pay more people than normal to fix all of the bullshit that they made. For all we know, the Canadian company wasn't even involved with the Sonic the Hedgehog shit. I think because they didn't want to meet legal and societal demands from the government of Canada on how to treat their employees and what they can and can't pay and how many hours they can work, they want to try to cheat the system and bullshit and fuck off to another country. I feel like that's what it is, real talk.
I can totally see that, to be honest.
You might not remember it, but you remember what I said about Capcom and how they did their game development studios all those years ago? But they're basically non-existent and they don't even have to be. What happens is Capcom literally went out of their way to try to phase out in-house development, which is fucking stupid. So what they decided to do was basically commission producers or people in charge of various franchises and brands. For instance, Yoshinori Ono, one of the more famous ones, he went from being a designer and then a game director to being the head of brand for Street Fighter. I know what it means, but thank you. That actually does help. So, and then after they started doing that, what they did was they would commission various producers that are known within the company or just by figureheads to go and develop the titles. They'll either get a producer, tell the producer this person is allowed to direct, go get them, or the producer handles everything with a little bit of extra scratch coming in from Capcom and an assigned budget and shit like that. So that means that they phased out any form of the ability for their employees to even work in a union. And basically, if memory serves, I can't remember. I think it was Jim Sterling or some other company. I was trying to look into it, but they reported that the vast majority of Capcom employees do not work on games. They're like working in third parties places like a Capcom store, Capcom restaurant, merchandising, HR, public relations, like shit like that. Or they're just in charge of their product in a certain country and region. You're a game development studio. Your primary job is to make the game sell so everyone else can be employed. But you're telling me that you almost have a disdain to hiring people permanently just to do that? It's fucking weird. But again, Capcom likes to play the we will not confirm or deny game. So even though some of that shit came directly from old Capcom employees, I'm not going to sit up here and tell you, that my word is the Bible. Just take it with a grain of salt. And you know how it is with Capcom. If they did it, everything came first, second hand or third hand, never first. So I just think they wanted to be shady and make more money and spend less on their own employees.
Capitalism.
Yeah, and ironically, most of these people end up going to countries that don't even necessarily have the same capitalism system as North America. All right, now as far as what cartoons could easily transition into a video game, man, that's a really tough one. Avatar. And I'm going to tell you why. Also not James Cameron Avatar. Because,
Wait.
yes, I know it already had a game. Shut up. So basically, that game sucked. The studio didn't get enough time. And they took the money even though they knew they weren't going to get enough time. And I'm sad about that. But the entire area, universe, and mythos of Avatar, right for a video game. Let's not bullshit. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I was typing.
Oh, okay. So the way I look at it, besides, first off, I've always wanted a Captain Planet video game. I never got a Captain Planet video game. I weep. I totally weep. But, see, here's the thing about it, though. Since I didn't get one, I've always had thoughts in my head about how it would work, how it would go, and how it would look. All that stuff. Right? Now, that never came to fruition. What's the next best thing? Fucking Avatar: The Last Airbender? Korra 2. Matter of fact, make a whole entire series of action RPGs. Don't even make those two the main characters. Pick somebody else. How about do the life and times of Juan? Fuck, I don't care.
I want a Boomy game.
No. Fuck you.
Boomy.
It's like if the Joker was a good guy and could throw rocks. That shit is... Ugh.
Actually, they could easily make an Avatar game using the other Avatar.
Here's any other Avatar. Here's what's creeping me out. That rock candy shit. I know this is off topic, but that rock candy grows and surrounds you, and it could even imprison you. But you can eat it. Should you eat it, though? Won't that shit, expand in your stomach? I can't be the only person that had that thought. You just ate an expanding candy and put it in your stomach.
That's that shower thought for you.
Yeah, and other than that, well, and this harkens back to that Looney Tunes soul of mine, but Animaniacs. Yes, they also had a game, but they only had 2 games, and that's not fair. The Animaniacs, they found that perfect balance between pop culture humor. The director, Steven Spielberg, went out of his way to not talk down to children, and he said he wanted the jokes to be good. He didn't want them to be dumbed down for kids. So that meant that the writers pretty much had bare minimum issues with coming up with the material they did. But also, factor in that these cats run around like Looney Tunes characters. Can you imagine being that one character that goes around in a video game and you can pull off anything you've seen in an old school cartoon, I would fucking love that. I go run around the corner because, I don't know, the police cheat guard who's always trying to chase them is right behind him. And then I can literally turn into wall graffiti. And then when he looks away, boom, kick him in the ass. Then he turns around and he's not sure what the fuck happened. Like, it would be a wish fulfillment game. And lastly, the stone that the builder refused.
I had the visual, the inspiration to make ladies see the book.
You have no idea how many times I've said that and people just have to say the rest of that. Also, that's some cold shit. I am the stone that the builder refused. Oh my God.
Yo.
I want a Boondocks game. And you know what? I don't care if I play Riley Freeman. I'm coming for the Huey. Riley, but you could have the whole family and occasionally guest characters work in that game. Make it an action game or make it an adventure game. Make it a day in the life of Huey, then a day in the life of Riley, then back to Huey, back to Riley, Huey, Riley. And occasionally when you get to a boss, Granddad's involved in some way, shape, or form. Let me tell you, bro, listen. Just think about it. You play Huey and you're in a Mass Effect style political conversation. You can either explain some shit to somebody who's pissing you off, or you could instigate, or you could be sucked into a nigga moment. In fact, the boss battles could just be called nigga moments. And like all the half the bosses they look like normal people, but they do superhuman shit. Like when Robert Freeman had 3 assassins after his age, and they were based off of old stereotypical characters from TV shows, and they had superhuman shit. That one lady knew some type of praying mantis shit. You know what this is, sucker. Like, it was so stupid good. Just imagine, like, Huey going to school, and because think about it, we almost never see the people in Huey's school. And Huey has to get to class because he actually likes learning, and bullies are in his way. And one of the bullies is the hall monitor. So he basically has to beat the shit out of him in between classes and stuff. Like, oh my God. Also, Cannon Busters. Here's the ironic part. Also animated and created by the creator of the lead animator for the Boondocks show, if memory serves. LeSean Thomas is his name. It's on Netflix. Go look it up. Cannon Busters.
You picked the best ones, cause them last 2 got me hot. Cannon Busters will work so well. Do you really, bro? That'd be so cool.
The main character literally lived his whole life at fucking Immortal. So you could make an entire canon game if you really wanted to without him even, being affecting the story. Remember the main character, sorry, my audio cut out. The main character is immortal. He's lived for over 200, 300 years. You could make an entire canon story without even touching the shit that was in the cartoon. What if you go to the era of when he first got Bessie, his giant Cadillac Gundam Chicago Bulls looking ass Megazord made? I would love to know how the fuck Bessie got made.
Dude, I was thinking that. Just make a prequel.
And then on top of that, let's say he had a crew or a team, and you find out the reason he's so angry and just disgruntled. It's just because... The fuck? Okay, that's weird. There's a lady outside my apartment yelling stinky booty and walking down the street. Anyways, yeah, what if he had a whole crew and his whole crew died, or they all betrayed each other and killed each other because they didn't believe he was truly immortal because they didn't actually see him die over the course of the game. And fucking that's why he ended up hating everybody, not wanting people to be around him and shit. It's literally just because he doesn't want to put himself through that again.
That'd give a lot of character to depth.
Yeah, instead of, him just being a disgruntled black version of Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop. Don't get me wrong, I like Spike, but dude, the references were too easily visible. In fact, I prefer he have a design update. I prefer he have a design update. a design update for the second season. Actually, fuck, I don't know if they even got renewed for a second season, but please look that up. But yeah, those are my choices for that situation.
There's my bad. They're supposed to make a. Well, from what I've been seeing from one of the guys I watch on YouTube, they're making a mobile Boondocks game.
Yeah, I know you're talking about, but that's something he wanted to do, but there was no confirmation on if he had time to do it. He still hasn't even found a developer. So yeah, that aside, topic 3. Star Fox or Dead Fox. Long story short, Star Fox is dead. Star Fox as a brand is dead. And I think the primary reason is just due to the fact that the people who make it, or the people that are known to have made it, are the ones that fucked it up. And they rarely had an interest in it in the beginning. Shigeru Miyamoto, that's who it is. Shigeru Miyamoto and one other person whose name I can't remember. They didn't even plan for Star Fox to have the interest or get as big as it did. They just did it because it was easy and they were curious about it at the time. And they knew that the game could be easy to produce, if memory serves, and get released when the 64 came out. Now, again, this is me pulling from very, very old magazines and interviews I'm trying to pull from the back of my head. But you got to remember, Star Fox has been around for some change. Star Fox is damn near over 20 years old. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's over 20 years old. So, as far as I'm concerned, all bullshit aside, it has to be dead because first and foremost, Nintendo has never been a company that as a game developer cares about the personal opinions and feelings of their squad. Yeah, I know. And it's the same article too. And if I just called off all the things that they killed, even though people liked them off the top of my head, it goes and there's a very similar pattern. They don't care about fan input. Why the fuck are you in a Kanye West form? They don't care about fan input. They really don't. They got lucky with Metroid because a third party basically did the work for them. Not Captain Falcon, F-Zero. People have wanted another F-Zero game for over a decade. Their excuse is, well, we got Mario Kart. Then they still got people whining about it. It's like, well, we feel like we've made that game as best we could, so we don't feel like going over it again. And I'm just sitting up here like, that is the dumbest reasoning ever. So because you made Breath of the Wild as good as you could, why did you start on Breath of the Wild 2 before you even, Breath of the Wild 1 even finished being made? Don't get me started on Ice Climbers, Balloon Fighters, Mother. They could have easily bought the license from the dude and made the shit themselves or licensed it to someone else. But if you actually go through Nintendo's roster, it's basically, can we make it fit into Mario? No. Can we make it fit into Legend of Zelda? No. Okay. Can we make it fit into some form of a strategy game? No. Oh, well, fuck it. Now, I know that's very, very heavily abbreviated hyperbole, but think about where it's coming from. I've watched that company literally since before I could spell it, and I've seen how they handle everything they have. Yes, they do in some cases in this most modern era change how they view and understand and move around in the industry. But here's the thing. That hasn't affected how they view their franchises. Oh, do you make a lot of money for us? Okay, well, we're going to go and make new shit for you. Oh, you made a lot of money for us one time at one specific point? Maybe. And the fact that that's even a possibility is the biggest issue. If you go and look at the Smash Bros. Roster, it's turning into basically two things. Mario, Fire Emblem. That's it. And that's a little sad to me. It's really it's really depressing, and it's a little disappointing as a fan because you know that the reason the stuff isn't selling or people are forgetting it isn't because it didn't sell or it sucked, because Nintendo doesn't want to assign someone, or they have given their developers so much creative freedom that they can tell them, nah, I don't feel like fucking with this anymore.
Wait, okay, just quick. What about Kid Icarus?
Wasn't even really supposed to happen, but it did. And there won't be a continuation, more than likely. Because Sakurai was the only one doing it. Sakurai got to ask, can he do it? And even if someone else asks to do it, they might not even say yes, or they might say, look, we got more important shit to worry about. And if you go and look up one of Sakurai's last interviews or first interviews on Kid Icarus, he's going to tell you that don't look for any sequels to this game. Which is fucking insane that he would even say that. But that lets you know what type of mindset Nintendo's working with. Or at least how they approach their developers and directors. I feel like even though they're good, they have too much freedom. I really do. And the current leader, the non-Kimishima guy, I miss you, Kimishima. He's not dead, but he was always a temporary, but I miss him either way. He might be a little bit different, but at the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding. And last I heard, ain't no F-Zero 2. Ain't no Star Fox. I'm sorry, not even 2. Star Fox 3, because they did make 2, only came out in Japan, or either they didn't finish it and canceled it, and it only came out 15 years after it originally was supposed to come out on a mini video game system. That was fucking stupid.
Okay, just quick sidebar. How do you feel about Star Fox Adventure?
I didn't hate it, but you see my point. They are not continuing what they start and make popular. But Zax, what about Star Fox Assault? First and foremost, Star Fox Assault biggest problem was that they didn't understand that their game needed to be longer. Because Star Fox Assault inherently is not a bad game. The problem with it is that it's a short game. Because the way they are, they like to give people, with the exception of Legend of Zelda, they give you everything up front, and then they create an adventure around what mechanics and features they gave you at the start. And they may throw in something else later on down the line. But that doesn't apply for a game like Star Fox, which mixes story and aerial combat. They need to extend the length of the games. They need to add more abilities over time, because every time they make a Star Fox game, the shit is barely ever over 8 hours. And let's be honest, that's only your first playthrough. Increasing a difficulty don't mean shit when the game is over after like boss number 7. I don't know how many bosses in Star Fox Zero, but just on the gameplay alone, fuck, your second playthrough, man, might not even be a full 4 hours from what I've heard from a lot of people. They don't even incentivize any type of upgrading and nothing like that. Once you start off in the beginning of the game, your kit is your kit and you could go and fuck shit up with it. That's their biggest problem. They don't understand modernization. That doesn't mean fill with microtransactions. That means add more shit. That's why Starlink is as good as it is. Because when I saw Star Fox Zero, everything that you could possibly want to do in a Star Fox game, you can do in Starlink, which they had absolutely no hand in. All they did was improve how the models looked.
Yeah, I heard that game wasn't that bad, honestly.
No, Starlink is really fucking good. But the biggest problem Starlink has is that they made the mistake of putting it on other systems that weren't the Switch. That game, if you look at it, you can tell the most fun and best iteration automatically was going to be the Switch iteration. And it's not just because, oh, look, you've got a giant fucking R-Wing or Amiibo sitting on top of your controller and shit. No, it's just because the customization and the way that they handled everything was meant to combine with toys. Ain't a lot of Xbox people trying to fuck with that. Ain't a lot of PlayStation people trying to fuck with that. Where does Toys to Life truly bloom? 2 places. Starlink and what was that other one that was made by Naughty Dog? It had like Spyro and shit. They even had King Bowser and Donkey Kong in it. I forgot.
Disney something.
No, yeah, it was the one after that too. Or made by the same company. But you know what I mean. That type of shit, it's really meant to be on Nintendo's platform because the touchscreen element, and they already inherently have that Toys to Life functionality with the invention of the amiibo. You know, personally, I feel like they should have made it a card. They should have made them cards. You have a special device you can slot in cards that have pictures of the item, and that would have made much more sense. But to be
real quick, one that sound like Digimon. Two, you talking about Disney Infinity?
Yeah, and there was another one too. It made over $1 billion. The franchise made over $1 billion. I can't remember what it was, but you could only get new characters if you bought the new toy that came out, and it wasn't Disney Infinity, but it was made by the same people.
Skylanders?
Yes, Skylanders. Yeah. Skylanders, Disney Infinity, Starlink, they all thrive, or they could thrive on Nintendo platforms because they already have a built-in Toys to Life functionality. Xbox, they're basically looking at VR right now. Sony started on VR 6-7 years ago. Nintendo may fuck with VR in the next 2 or 3 years, but while that was happening, Toys to Life popularity obviously was riding a bubble, but even without the bubble, there's a lot of shit you can do with it. Like I said, the card functionality iteration of it, that would be fucking smart. Somebody make a card game that's only playable on a video game system, that would be the shit. You know? All your DLC is literally just booster packs.
Oh, and then you can do, like I got the Pokeball Plus, they can just kind of get like a little machine for that, ain't it?
Well, I wasn't thinking about Pokemon, but yeah, as long as you get the example.
No, like you know how they got the little Pokeball. They can get like a little machine.
I know you know how to say that word correctly. I'll give you $1 if you say it the right way.
Pokeball?
Okay, you can't say it the right way. Never mind. So yeah.
What is it called?
Read the actual word, bro. Look at the actual word and tell me what you see when you see those words. In the correct spelling. That aside, topic 4. Well, it's going to sound like a cheat, but it was meant to be an example. James Gunn. I want James Gunn to make a video game. It doesn't have to be hyper violent. It doesn't have to be hyper funny. It doesn't have to be a drama. I just want James Gunn to make video games because James Gunn is good at his job. And I want him to use that power of his to make shit for me. I know that sounds very selfish, but I don't care. It's a fun thought. James Gunn making video games.
Pokeball.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh my God, thank you so much. Anyways. Now, another director, and I feel like it's long overdue because first off, he's not in the video game industry, but he gets to go to all the events. Sometimes they even let him play test games or games on systems that aren't even out yet. You know him, you love him, or at least you did when he was directing Animaniacs. Steven goddamn Spielberg. Steven Spielberg loves video games. He's been playing them since they sucked. He got to play the Wii before it came out. He got to play the Sega Saturn before it came out. They nicknamed their controller after him. Think about what he could do. Yes, he's old. Some people think that, there's a little bit of fragility or possible light and fluffy material, but let's not bullshit. The man is a creative force. And I would love to see him try to apply that to video games. But he would have to understand there's a set world or set time frame that he would need to be able to get things done. Normally, Steven Spielberg take all the time he won't. Unless, it's a commission job and someone else is doing it and he's just funding it or something like that. But I would love to see him put his mind to the test.
Okay. All they gotta do is give him... Okay. With that being said, why don't they just give him the idea, let him work on it, never announce or anything, just let him work on it?
Because it's Steven Spielberg. If he's going to direct it, he should be doing it entirely himself. He should come up with the concept, all of that shit. And that's something that's going to take time, and he takes his time. But at the same time, no pun intended, the game industry can't be waiting like that unless he fully funds it his damn self.
Touché.
Now, as far as topic 5, I'm gonna just come out and say it. They need to chill. They need to chill with that resolution every 5 seconds shit. Don't get me wrong. I am well aware that we were behind the curve for decades. Not even decades, eons. We could have made a TV that was better than 480 resolution as early as like 87, I think, or 87 or 78. But for some reason, we didn't. We just didn't. Shit stagnated. It's like the light bulbs. The light bulbs, people say, well, what was wrong with the light bulbs? Why are you trying to fix it when it broke? They were always broke. They spend up way too much energy and they were never extremely cost efficient. The rest of the world pretty much updated their light bulbs before we did. And now 4K as a commercial product ain't even been out 10 years. Fuck, ain't even been out, I think, 7 years. And we already got 8K TVs getting ready to hit the market. We are not slowing down. That time gap is insane. But I think video gaming needs to focus and master 1080. And then once that happens, we need to focus and master 2K, because we skipped over that shit. But let the video game systems be able to expand the picture into 4K or allow a 4K exclusive version or special download to implement it into the games that don't have it. And then slowly but transition. We should always be behind the TVs. That's how I look at it. If there's a 8K television, video game systems should be able to smoothly run 4K at 60 frames per second. Fuck it, maybe 80 frames per second before we touch 8K. Because first off, storage media needs to keep up with that shit. And that's also one of the main reasons why I like to tell people that you need to... I don't know why idiots who don't know shit about the industry, including the people that run these billion-dollar companies and don't play video games, keep trying to say that, well, streaming is the future. I'm like, no, bitch. The future implies it's going to happen later on. Streaming has been here for almost 20 years. The problem is internet service providers versus gameplay. And the two will never be in sync. Google Stadia is not new, revolutionary, different. Also, it's going to inherently have a limited game catalog because they keep pissing off and have no respect from the console makers. If Google Stadia actually put the console makers out of business, you really think they would actually apologize or even acknowledge it? Fuck no. And then their product doesn't even work half as well as they said it does. And it burns out. When's the last time they made a system that burned out? PlayStation 3? And they learned their lesson. PlayStation 3. All the first generations overheat.
No, I know what you meant.
So that's what I think they should do. I think that we shouldn't even be trying to fuck with 4K until we've mastered 2K. Because we skipped over 2K and we went to 4. And for you PC gamers out there, this wasn't about you. And I got nothing for you. You showed up to the house looking for treats and all I got is tricks. Yes, I realized that was more relevant last month. Fuck you. All right. Well, there is something I kind of wanted to ask, but I think I forgot it. Fuck, I forgot what it was. Shit. Damn, what was it I wanted to say? Well, I don't remember what that bonus topic shit was, but hey, this has been another exciting episode of Token Games Podcast. You know, you got any closing statements?
Henshin.
Beautiful Joe for Smash.
Not gonna lie, kind of want that. I think Okami might have better odds. Oh yeah, let me ask you. Do you think the final character is going to be from Xenoblade? Do you think it's going to be Cosmos? Because remember, they did say there were 2 Xenoblade characters on an accident that show up in the actual game. However, keep in mind, there is a Xenoblade Assist trophy. However, They weren't talking like assist trophies.
Probably just
If anything, it's gonna be the protagonist from the second game, and they're gonna make him super, super anime, even more than he already is.
I want Cosmos. God damn it. And I want her to be in all of her outfits because Cosmos got like 4 or 5 outfits at this point.